all been there before, right? Ooh, kids in the back seat going for it.
Absolutely.
All right, all right. Oh,
Kicking the back of your seat too.
yep. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Make your own fun. This is our special summer vacation soiree. I'm here with Nikki Schafer. She is a poet, podcaster, TikTok superstar, and her podcast that she co-hosts is Straight Out the Smoke Room. You can find that on Spotify and iHeartRadio. But today we're here to talk about just crazy funny summer vacation stories, just summer stuff in general from when we were a kid or not a kid, and crazy stuff we did with friends a long time ago, could have been a week ago. And then we'll get into
Oh
some
yeah.
stuff and then we're gonna wrap it up. We each wrote a poem, and we'll finish the show with that.
All right. Well, if we want to go with something that's just, we'll go cool and embarrassing because it happened in the same weekend. We were down Long Beach Island. I was with my mom, had just gotten like a brand new JanSport backpack that I was going to put, all my patches on and stuff. So I decided to, wear as we're walking around during the day. We get to this one area of shops and I literally get crapped on by a seagull. It was the hugest dump. Like it went all down the front, all down the back of me, all over the backpack. And you're standing there like there's not even a place to get water, like to sit from. And, we just had to sit there and there was we found some water. I can't remember exactly how, but we were able to like flush it off. And then my shirt, I bought a new shirt, like a Long Beach Island, Beach Haven shirt, and took that one off. And then the neatest thing was later that night, we decided to go to one of the clubs. It used to be called The Wave. And I was 13 at that time. I just turned 13. And, so we go there and we get there right, at the end of dinner and stuff because they had a DJ. So we were going to get dinner and just, have a good time. It was my mom, my aunt, me, just the three of us. Doesn't she, as I'm in there, so cool. She comes up and asks me what she can get me from the bar.
What?
And I didn't want to get her in trouble. I didn't want to get, anyone in trouble. And I was like, no, I'm the designated driver. And that made my aunt like just die laughing. Like they hadn't even drank yet. The waitress like looked at her funny, but I just thought that was, that was a really like, yeah, go me. I could have gotten served at 13 if I wanted to. So there's that one.
I'll just go into it. So we were in New York City, and my buddy's wife, like went to like a bunch of the touristy stuff, and then we were like, getting lunch or whatever. But everywhere we went, there was always these
Yeah.
freaking bike messenger guys, running, riding,
Oh yeah.
and they would cut up under the sidewalk and stuff. And she was, I don't know if it's because she had a coat on and like a heavy purse or whatever, but these guys would always slam into her and like times. One guy, I swear to God, the one guy was
Damn.
like a linebacker and he just like checked her. And then she like one time she barely like missed hitting a pole with her face, like her shoulder hit the pole, but she like
Oh my God.
barely missed, right? And another time a guy was riding by and like he had a one of those spray water bottles and he was squirting water in
Right.
his face. And then all of a sudden he looks over and he sees the traffic light change and we're just standing there in slow motion watching this happen like no. And then he like he was in the water bottle and then he got his attention turned and she got water like all over her face and we were like and then she was yelling to go tackle the guy, and he was like, "What? He's on a bike. He's gone. What do you want me to do?" So she
Right,
took her to
right.
the
Like,
house.
what are you gonna do?
So we felt so bad, and then we're like, you know what? There's this ice cream place. Let's just go get ice cream cone. It's hot July day, whatever. So we go in, and we get the ice cream cones, and we're walking down the street and looking at the ice cream cones and stuff. No, they're fucking bike messenger guy comes up and rides past her, and all of a sudden he's like, on her left, and she's like, what? Fucking hits her arm. The ice cream goes right into her face, and he keeps riding, and we're just like, the odds, like, oh my fucking god.
Right.
She gets so
Right.
off. She's like, damn it. And then she takes the cone and she turns around and she just like a fucking all-star. Just I don't never saw her do this before. She just like wings it, and the cone's like it's the guy at the back of the
It's
helmet,
slow
and
mo.
he's like, ah. And then all these people, like 4, 5, 6 people, were just like, ah, and they all duck, and the ice cream cone goes lands perfectly in the center of a trash can. We were like, and she was like, I don't even care.
What?
Fuck that guy. And she just kept walking. We were like, what the, and the guy, what the, what? So that's
Right.
one of those stories.
Right. The chances. Holy crap.
And I get it because she was
Oh God.
off because 3, 4, 5 times in one day, you're
Oh my God, dude.
all right. What do you got?
That's why, like, like for me, let's see. What do we got? Well, there's there's just like one of the memories is just like between me growing up and then now with my wee-est who's 13, but been doing it, him and my older son who's in his 20s, did it all their lives. We'd always go to because we'd always go down to like Wildwood because that's where my parents would have their boat. So a lot of it's either Long Beach Island memories or like Wildwood memories. So great. What was I? Oh yeah. So, there was always like, this one arcade that we would go to. It was like at the center near like Maurice Pier. And, what we would do is we play the games for the tickets, but instead of spending the tickets, we would just, keep going back and collecting the tickets. And then by the end of the summer, I'd be able to take the kids back, and they'd split the tickets in half, at the one time. Cause with my one being 13, the other one being in their 20s, it's like, I kind of felt like I was a single, like having an only child, like with both, because I was able, luckily, to be able to raise both like that and give them all that extra attention. So we still have, in fact, I wish I would know where the hell I put them, because I would have brought them out to, show everybody the latest ones we got. That was down in Sea Isle City. So he has a ton of points from like 4 or 5 years of us going down there that we have to go down and turn in. So, and that just reminds me once again of being on the boardwalk and playing the games. And I didn't always play the games, but one time there was the one where you got the big, gigantic, like old milk jugs,
Yeah.
and you got to like get the baseball to go into the milk jug.
Yeah.
And I just like sat there. I knew I had something. I had a feeling like, because I'm also clairvoyant, but I had this energy in me and I knew I was going to win. And I just chucked it a certain way. And it just like went up and it went bloop, like didn't even make a noise until it hit the bottom of the can. Even the guy was like, what the hell was that? Because I just did this weird like chuck, put a little spin on the ball, and it went right in. So I got a nice, I got one choice, which, they were all big. So I got a gigantic Astro from, so I got to carry him around with me and stuff. And then like the other game that I really used to love, and I used to be good at it, was the balloon dart.
Oh yeah.
One,
Yeah.
and I even taught my sons how to do it. So you arc it so that you try to get as many balloons as possible coming down. And I ended up winning, like this gigantic stuffed unicorn and everything. It was huge. My kid loved it.
That's great.
Yeah, so stuff like that. It's, you don't win too often, like down there. They really rig those games to,
Oh yeah,
so the
yeah.
house
They're trying to get
wins.
your money. Yeah, I have a lot of good memories about going to the boardwalk. My grandparents used to live southern Delaware, so we used to always go to Rehoboth Beach all
Yeah,
the time. And the boardwalk there,
gorgeous,
there were so many cool games.
gorgeous.
All right. So speaking of my grandparents, this story is, oh God, all I can chalk it up to is being a young, dumb kid and like wanting to impress your grandpa and doing the stupidest freaking thing ever. One of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. So we were talking on the phone the other day about New Jersey, and I actually had to reach out to my folks and say, because I couldn't remember the town that my great grandparents lived in, and so it's actually called Mawa, and that's northern part of the state. It's right near the New York border, New York state border, and across the state
Yeah,
border, I think is
wow.
Suffern, New York. So it's a small town, right?
Yeah,
So um my I think my great grandparents, like one of them had passed away, and so we had gone to like visit, and my grandfather was there, and he was kind of like trying to take care of affairs and everything, and so it was like his dad had passed away, so we were all there, and it was like the
oh,
summertime, and he was like, he knew I was like 11, 12, something like that. And he knew I was bored out of my mind. There was nothing for me to do. It was a small town. What are you going to do? So
yeah,
uh, we started walking. He's like, "You want to go for a hike in woods, Eric? And, we can talk about, you're getting ready. You're in, you're a big boy now. You're in middle school and all this." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." I was like, "Sure." So we're walking around in that area. It's kind of like, hills and stuff, and it's wooded. But I think
hmm,
there's some rocks, like outcroppings and stuff, that are like formed by glaciers, like real jagged edges and
yeah, they're
cut into
gorgeous.
the mountains and the hills and stuff. So we're kind of walking around there, and I'm kind of doing acrobatic, stupid crap, and so he's talking to me about, because he knows like I was like 11 or 12, and he was asking me like, "Oh, so I heard you're gonna do track and stuff, and what kind of things are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to do the 100-meter dash and the relay, and I might, I don't know, I'm tall enough to do pole vault, but I think I'm going to do the long jump." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I've seen that on the Olympics. That's pretty crazy stuff, and really got to get a big head of steam." And he's like, "So you're almost like 5 feet tall now. So how far do you think you can jump? Like, how far do you think you can jump? You have to be able to jump farther than you are tall." And I was like, "Well, yeah, and then I jumped, in place. And he's like, "That's not what I mean." He's like, "You got to get a running start, like a running start." And I was like, "Oh." And so I got a running start, and he was like, you kind of know where this is going. And then he's like, yeah, but it's like, I think like you're just being goofy. You're not really showing me what you could do." So we're walking on this trail, and we're getting up near the top of the ledges and stuff. And and it's just one of those things where it's like you're a kid, you think when your grandparents joking, but you're also trying to impress them too. And
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
like, "All right, so come up near the edge here. So you see that tree over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "So a long jump, you probably got to be able to jump a good, when you get a little older, you got to be able to jump a good." Try to do this with a straight face. "You got to be able to jump a good, 15, 20 feet if you're going to be in competition and be competitive. And once you get older, you're going to be in these brackets of these kids, these other guys that are going to be 3, 4 years older than you. So it's all about the speed and jumping right." And he goes, "Well, just as an example, that tree over there, that's a good 15, 20 feet away from the edge of the cliff. So do you think, judging that distance from where you are, if you were on the running on the track, you could make that?" And I was like, "Oh, definitely I could make that." And he goes, "Well, okay, it's one thing to say it, but," and I'm like, "No, I could do it right now." And he goes,
Like,
"Well, that's not what
oh,
I mean." And I was like, "No, Grandpa, I could do it." So, and these are his words to my parents afterward. Allegedly, this is what I said. "Out of my way, Grandpa." And I backed up a good 30, 40 feet. And I was like, "Here I go." And then they said that I told him that as I was running past them, I said, "Look, Grandpa, I can fly." And I run
oh,
with all my might, I'm like, "Ah," and I jump. And he said he just saw me go like this, like a dog, like, "No, no, 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 no," like grabbing out for branches. And it was just, the tree was like
oh
30
my
feet in the
God.
air, right? It was like 30 feet in the air. And it was like, "Ah, God damn it. Ah." It's like a Homer Simpson, right? "Ah."
Yeah, yeah.
And then I landed on a rock outcropping and just fell up, slumped over. And of course, he runs down to me and he gets down to me and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I feel kind of special."
Oh
I
my
was
God.
so out of it and so discombobulated. And I looked down and there was like a little chunk of flesh that was out of the side of my knee because I had hit so hard on a sharp edge. And I was like, "Do I need that?" And he goes, "Leave it, leave it, leave it." And so he's like
Leave it.
carrying me and he's like, "Don't put your finger in there." And I'm like, "It's a lot of blood." And I'm wearing a white t-shirt and it's like all smeared. And I get it back.
Oh, of
He
course.
he
Of
limps me
course.
back into the house or whatever, like half an hour later. My mom and dad are freaking out because they see the blood on my shirt, like, "What happened?" And then they were like, and of course, this is like, them telling me later. He was like, "Well, your son decided to show me his long jump." Like, and they were like, "What? I thought you went hiking up in the hills." And he was like, "We did." So that's that story. So anyway, I survived
All right. Well,
preteen. I don't know
I
how.
don't, I haven't. I survived. I haven't. I survived one too. I wasn't gonna bring it up because I didn't know how, like, dark we were gonna go. But you always what you
I
end
mean, it's
up
just a
doing is you gotta
dumbass
laugh.
kid story.
You
Yeah.
gotta laugh.
Yeah.
So, my parents, like, we had a house in Mystic Islands, and, my parents always had a boat. We would go out crabbing. And whenever we would take it out, I would always sit like, where the two seats, like the one front seat and the one back seat would meet. I would always sit on the top of those two seats, which put me up above like the glass and stuff. And I would always sit there every single time we would go out. This one day, when we're going to go out, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, friends of my parents say, "Oh, we're coming too." So it's like, "Oh, great. Come on. We're going to go out through the cut by the fish house," also referred to as the stink house, out, in the bay. And So all because, like, because of them being on the boat, this time I stood. I was standing up and everything. So, he's going like full throttle. Of course, you feel like you're going 60 miles an hour when in a boat like that, you're going like, 35,
Oh
tops.
yeah.
But all of a sudden, he slams into a sandbar. We come to a dead stop. Me, like, it was like cartoon character legs to the front. Like, I don't know how I was able, like, it happened so fast. Like, I was able to stay on my legs and I went to put my hands out because I was going for the dash. And my hands went down because we had a cabin underneath of it and the doors were open. My hands went down. So I came close to actually striking my throat, but here I somehow struck like this part of my chin. Yeah. And like
Oh my
afterwards, same
God.
thing. Like you, like where am I? What, my mom's freaking out. She's screaming at him, what are you doing? It's low tide, all that. And I'm just, oh my gosh, I really thank God that day, because had we decided to go out there without the friends, I'd have been sitting on the top of those two seats, so I'd have been launched either into the glass or over the front of the boat. So guardian angels were all surrounding me that day. But yeah, that was while we were on vacation.
The craziest shit happens. I'm gonna switch gears here for just a second because I was thinking about stuff this morning.
Yep.
I know we can totally relate to this. So, because I was talking to a couple friends of mine about this the other day. So, there was so much stuff when we were a kid that we classified as like summer games or summer toys that you play with outside that they had to discontinue or they can't use or sell anymore unless somebody kept
Lawn
it in their
darts.
basement. Yeah.
Yep.
So lawn darts. I
Yep.
didn't see it happen, but I know when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I heard this kid who I went to school with, they said that he and his cousin were like playing out in the yard in the sprinkler and like they were throwing the lawn darts because I guess you're supposed to like throw them in like a hoop, throw them up in the air and try to get them in like a target or a hoop or something. And then
Yeah,
I
I think
guess
it's like a target area.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
I guess they
Yeah.
had their parents had a sprinkler going, and then I guess the one kid slipped and like his sister just happened to walk by and the lawn dart just came down and like embedded in the top of her foot because they were sharp metal tips
Yep.
and they were weighted
Yep.
down and they had to take her
Yep.
to the hospital. And then I remember because I had asked my parents like maybe a week before that because like school had just gotten out for the summer and I was like, oh, I want to get some lawn darts. I want to do this. Like, come on, my friends are doing it. Come on. And then when they heard that story, they were like, nope. So did you know anybody that hurt with lawn
Hell
darts or
no.
anything? Or
With us, like my mom had a friend when they were playing that ended up getting one in their eye and they lost their eye. So we
yeah.
weren't allowed to. My brother and I weren't allowed to have like those types of injurious activities. Um, so I don't per se have anything like related to bocce or anything like that either.
All right. All
But
right.
do I was gonna say though, I do have memories of like, Long Beach Island, and with me being clairvoyant, I've encountered a lot of ghostly activity throughout my life. And I'll never forget because this one's funny. Like there's a ship mast, there's a ship that's buried in the sand, and every so often the way the tide swings, it ends up, on the beach at low tide. So my brother was real young. My mom had just finished, reading us all of these scary ghost stories, and we go out to the mast, and it was a beautiful night. It was so eerie. And, we get to the mast, and, I found like a little piece of the, I still have it too, my jewelry box, a piece of the metal from the mast. And like the just funniest thing was my brother was like, cause I was like, this is, we're all like, this is so cool. This is so cool. You got the waves and everything. And you got my little brother saying, can we please leave? He's like, cause I'm going to hurl. So we had to leave because he was so scared. He was about to throw up. But when I was a teenager, I went with my parents to Long Beach Island again, and we stayed. It's no longer there. I really wish they would have kept it. A place called Weeda's. my whole family went there, for generations and stuff. It was always a great place to go and stay. And so, we went. I had my best friend with me, and my brother, my parents were at the bar doing karaoke and stuff until it closed. And we go up to our rooms, and we were separate from our parents because it was, everything was really, really small. I wish they would have just renovated it instead of knocking it down. But anyway, we get stuck in a room with my brother. So my best friend and I had to share a bed, big deal. And then my brother had his own. Well, we get in there, and all of a sudden, we just we all felt really weirded out. And we heard it sounded like somebody was walking in our room. This is when we were settled in bed. And the more that we saw this, oh God, it was this gossamer face in the window. And then my brother saw it too, and he was begging because he's underneath the covers, but he's still looking. He's like, "Can I come over there with you?" We were so freaked out. We were like, "Fuck no!" And right after that, all of a sudden, you hear it sound like an old pirate, going, "Har, har, 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 har." And then our toilet fucking flushed. We were so freaked out, but God, it burned into our memory. I don't know how we got to sleep after that. I really, really don't. But, my one friend's father was like, "Oh, yeah, he probably is a reminiscent of him taking a huge dump or something like that." He was so happy he left an imprint.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, Wheaties was haunted and stuff so.
So when you were a
A lot
kid,
of fun.
did you have either of these dangerous toys? Did you have or know anybody that had the little balsa wood airplane where you had to spin the propeller and there was a rubber band attached to it, and you would pull it and it would go up in the air, and then all of a sudden it would if a wind current came, it would come down and you were like,
Ended up tangled in my hair. Yep.
Oh yeah, my
Oh yeah,
sister.
yeah.
We were doing that, and then
One of my friends was fucking around with it. I was at the babysitter's. Thank God I turned around because it really hit me real bad in the back of the head.
Oh my
But
God.
it got my hair all tangled. I had to have some of it cut out from the propeller.
Okay, and then I gotta go.
I am a victim of it.
This is probably the most fun / most dangerous summer toy, outdoor summer toy from when I was a kid, which was slip and slide. Because
Oh my
I
God!
had two different
Same
friends.
babysitter.
I had two different friends that had slip and slides. And after a while, we just started calling it slip and bleed from the butthole, because no matter what kind of swimming trunks you had on, if you were a guy or a girl, all it would take is to slide, and then you get a weird angle, or your body shifts, or your weight shifts, and all of a sudden, some of them had plastic pegs on the side that were in holes, and then some of them had those
Yeah, so hold it down. Yep.
fringe things from a freaking tent. And
The
if you
spikes.
hit that, it was always
Yep.
I
A
never
stake.
hit it with
That's
my
it.
face or my arm. I was like, why is it always my fucking butthole? It's just, and you get up and you're like, ah, ah, ah. And then you're screaming, you're bleeding, and then what? You know what? 2 days later, you're back out there doing a belly flop on the thing.
Doing it again. Oh yeah, I used to have it. Even if I wore one piece, I'd end up with road rash always up the side because, you had dickhead friends of mine where you're going and they decide to come out in front of you and you end up tackling them and stuff. Or after so many runs, you've got all the grass and all the sand and stuff. So it's going right down. I would get my chest all burned up from that and cover with grass, and then you go off left to right, you end up in stones or
Oh God, I remember some neighbor friends of mine when I was a kid. there's two brothers. They had a slip and slide, and I think that they put it in our other neighbor's yard because they had more of like a straight stretch of grass. And I don't know what
Yeah.
possessed the older brother to say this, and I think I must have done it too, but like somebody would go down the slip and slide, and we were doing the thing of like, well, we'll time it. Stupid fucking kid stuff, right? We're like, we'll time it, and then when somebody's coming down the slide or slipping on the slide on the yard, we'll run and jump over them
Yeah.
as they're coming by, and it looks so cool. And we were like, okay, because when you're like 10 or 11 or 12, you're like, that's what there is to do in the summer outside. This is pre-internet, kids. So anyway,
Right. Well, the problem with me, like people trying to jump over me, is I had really long legs. So that's why, like, I would say going down, you get your idiot friends that go to jump across you, and then I'd catch them like in their crotch area, of their
oh
swim shorts. Oh yeah, yeah, and like pull them right down with me. Yep.
my God. And I don't know if I don't think they sell lawn darts anymore. I don't think they sell the balsa wood airplanes.
No, I don't think
They
so.
might sell a real small, real tame slip and slide that's like 4 feet,
I I
maybe.
thought they came out with a type of lawn dart, but it's supposed to, like, you put the target out and it's got like sand or something in the end when you go to throw it, so
Okay.
that it's landing instead of having to spike in the ground. It's supposed to land on a
Oh.
target. I'm pretty sure they had brought that back. At least I remember seeing that at some point. I'll have to look that up
I
though.
remember one of my buddies when something happened with the lawn dart. I don't know, maybe it punctured a tire or something, and then the parents were like, "That's it," and so they replaced it, or they got like the bean bag toss with the little elevated like wooden thing with the hole in it where you stand 10 feet away. And then
Oh
I
yeah,
remember his
yeah,
parents like
yeah.
with all of us in the backyard being like, "See, come on, kids, this is just as fun as the lawn darts." I'm like, "Yeah, but the lawn dart doesn't really like fly aerodynamically through the air." They're like, "Eric, you're gonna get hurt. Just toss the beanbag." And I was like, "No, don't overhand it. You underhand it." And I was like,
Uh,
like when you're like 11, 12, everything is just like, come, oh, come.
Reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, totally, totally. Just like, this is so lame. But
So like,
so one of the last things I wanted to bring up here before we do the poems is going to the beach when you were younger, could have been any age, and then either with your friends or your family or your kids now, and you're building a sandcastle right on the shore, and you got to use the wet sand and you use the bucket,
right,
to make the towers or whatever. How many times when you
right.
go to the beach and you're working on a sandcastle, I don't even mean like a rogue wave tide changing coming in ruining your castle. I'm talking about, and this just sucks because it's all about ego and your self-esteem and stuff. But you look over and there's like a family of five and they're building like the fucking Disney castle, like 5 stories, and you're just like,
Yes.
and they got like sculpting
And
tools.
here we were stuck with the plastic buckets and the
Yes.
shovels
And
from
you're
the
seeing
dollar
something
tree
like
type.
this and
Yeah.
turning it upside down, and then I was like, oh, well, I want to have a retractable drawbridge. And then my mom was like, you could have brought the my mom was like, I told you
Oh
could bring
God,
the
I used to
popsicle
hate
sticks.
that. I
I
always
know,
wished I could do
and
that.
I know my mom was trying to
Always.
be like, helpful, but I was like, well, did you bring the popsicle sticks? And she's like, no, I told you to bring the popsicle sticks. But I mean, what are some of the craziest like sandcastle or sand sculpture stuff you've seen when you've been at the beach?
Oh my gosh, like there's people that have put in a sculpture of God. I saw a beautiful one of God's hands holding like a baby. There's been ones where like it's like you said, a huge castle with the working drawbridge, a moat, alligators. They do it up, and it's so beautiful, and they make it look so easy. Like I've watched them too. They make it seem like it's so easy.
I'm trying to think. This was probably when I first moved to Santa Monica. This was probably like 2006 or so.
Right.
I went down on the beach there, and it was like you're talking a lot of sand, a lot of people. So you have those beach umbrellas you stick in the sand with a pole. So what somebody did, and I was like, and I'm
Oh,
glad I got the
geez.
reference because a lot of people wouldn't get it because either the old movie was so old or the new movie hadn't come out yet. But the movie Dune, right? And they have the sandworms and everything. And so somebody there was like 20 people and they sculpted this like sandworm like with the humps and everything going through the sand, and it stretched out of like 15, 20 feet. And then the mouth opening like this, they had it propped.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
came off the back of the umbrella. And then the one girl was always just like, she's like, whatever the guy's name is, like, Jerry, just take the picture. Just take the picture. Because like she was tired of people walking by like, oh, go take a picture. Go take a picture. Hey, will you sit over there like it's the mouth again? And she's like, I really just want to go in the water. I want to go get a snack, or I got to go to the bathroom. And then I felt so bad, but I'm like, well, it's kind of not like I don't want to say it's like it's your fault, but it's so cool that you guys made this thing and people are going to want to take pictures. So what can you do? Anyway, so let's it's hard to believe it's time's gone by. It's been awesome. So let's wrap it up here with our summer vacation poems. So I'd like to hear yours first, if you don't mind. So what's it called?
Not at all. No problem. That's the one thing I've like. That's the one thing. If you go, I have thousands of poems out there that don't have titles because I'm bad when it comes to coming up with titles. Because I don't know, I like to be, metaphoric or whatever, too metaphorical about it instead of just giving it, a title. So a lot of times I go back later and I'll think of one and stuff. So I don't have a title for this one, but here it goes. The sun and sand that I used to imbibe as a child on the beach most of the days. I'm sorry. Of course, that was my child trying to open the door. Let's try that again.
Sure.
The sun and sand that I used to imbibe as a child on the beach most of the days. Now, as an adult, I take that sentiment back. How did I ever enjoy sunburn and sand wedged inside of my butt crack? The boardwalk smells of fries, cheesesteaks, and cotton candy so divine. As an adult, now I wade through them like a pro. After all, there's blood sugar to keep in mind. Kettle corn, ice creams, saltwater taffies. To heck with all of that. I really don't care about the sugars, calories, nor saturated fats. All that goodness settles in the hips, so I have to now pass on those kettle cooked chips. Summer nights as a child, I never wanted them to end. Now as an adult, falling asleep before 9:45. All those memories of being a child down the shore is where I grew up wild. Now in my older years, I get to watch with glee my wayest one hitting all of the great stuff, and his delight I more than get to see. So many summer nights, running wild, running free. It's what restores the kid forever trapped inside of me. Right.
All right. So without further ado, this one is called
Night.
Episodic Summer Vacations. Burying my sister up to her neck in the sand and then wandering away to feed the seagulls while the Rehoboth Beach lifeguards chilled and ignored all the kids peeing into the ocean. Unwittingly shifting my grandfather's riding lawnmower into reverse, slamming on the gas, crashing it inside the garage while he yelled and crushing his cherished grill against the wall. Epic adventures in the family car with no AC, listening to whatever weak station came on the radio or begging to play my Nevermind cassette while everyone complained, again? Building a treehouse of
Yeah.
woods and never questioning why the wood panels were warped or the nails were rusty from rainstorms or why we were always climbing without shoes. Insisting to my dad, it's so cringy, that Vanilla Ice's music would have a far lasting effect on pop culture than that of mopey old Pink Floyd that he listened to all the time like it was still new. Taking Amy to the outdoor community pool in Santa Monica, 4 separate little boys said they loved her red hair and would she please, please, please share her Pacific Coolers Capri Sun. Randomly running into Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw in Pacific Palisades one morning, he fidgeted with his USS Indianapolis hat. She pointed at my shoes and said, "Hey, nice chucks." Driving down to Tampa, Florida for an audition from Ohio in August with no plan whatsoever. In my parents' car with only limited gas money. I didn't get the part, just sunburn and mosquito PTSD. Bolting to California along with 2 fellow actor friends with only stops for gas, eating while driving, sleeping in shifts, defying death with energy drinks. Everything was a blur, but I loved every minute of it. Traipsing around Hearst Castle, ignoring the tour guide, I wandered off alone into its shambolic decadence, realizing that I would never attain that much wealth. It must be nice to keep building because you're bored. Moving Amy into our rented room in Laguna Niguel, Inglewood was now an instant distant memory for her. I'll never forget her joyful open mouth expression or when she turned to me and said, "I'm crying happy tears." There you go.
Oh, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
That was very, very nice.
Little memory snippets about a few of those. So
Yeah. I love how
okay.
you tied that all together. It's like taking a little walk. That's really sweet.
Yeah, memory
Well done.
lane, right? Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
I enjoyed yours as well. So as
Thank
we
you.
wrap it up here, let the folks
Yep.
know that are going to be watching this where they can find your work online and your social media handles and all that.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. I am on goodness, I don't even know where the hell to start. I am Clover Schafer, also at Nikki Schafer on, let's see, Clapper, also on TikTok as Mingo Pink 2112. And I'm trying to think. I can't think of like my Twitter stuff, but if you end up making it to Clapper, it's got, the link for Twitter and all that stuff. So, and then just, catch me live on Clapper anytime, especially on Fridays and Saturdays, because I'm always trying to bring the latest and greatest of bud to, which is legal in the state of Dirty Jersey, as I call it, but it's always the latest and greatest at the pop-ups, and it's always at a location, so they're always a lot of fun. Everybody's really cool there. So
Cool.
yep.
Why don't you give a shout out to your co-host and your podcast there, and remind people what it's called, where they can see it, what your co-host's name is.
Oh, yes. My co-host is Shannon Wallace. She's at the Unicorn 6969 on TikTok and Clapper. Also, we have our joint podcast, Straight Out the Smoke Room. You can find it on iHeartRadio and also Spotify.
Excellent.
The first episode were rough, but as you get into it, we started doing pothead games and stuff like that. So it definitely it gets fun when we start free riffing.
Very cool. Is there anywhere people can see your writing online? Like, is there a blog or a website or links to anything that you want people to know to follow to get into your stuff? Or
It's not that I know of. I'm just getting started. On this train also. So
very
hopefully,
cool.
hopefully we'll have something soon.
No worries. No
Thank you
worries.
so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.